Good evening. This is the Newfane Selectboard meeting, March 16th, 2020. We welcome everybody here, and for the people at home, we really hope everybody's doing well and taking good care of themselves. So we have a lot to talk about tonight, and the first thing is for the amendment to call to order, which I am. And then second item on the agenda is additions or amendments to the agenda. And I am adding an addition to the amendment and that, to the agenda, which will be covered under approval of minutes. And that addition is that we are going to be voted on the amended bylaw, Article 3, Section 343, for the conditional use of the amended bylaw for the natural burial ground. And we're going to take a second vote on that, another vote on that tonight. Okay. So may I have the motion for approval of the March 2nd town meeting preparation?
I make a
minutes?
motion to accept those
I'll
minutes.
second it.
Okay, is there any discussion about that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that is approved for the March 2nd minutes. I just have to interrupt myself and say that Shelley is not here in person, but she is here via telephone tonight. The approval of the minutes for March 6th, the organizational meeting. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
I'll second them.
Okay, is there any discussion on those minutes? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, the minutes are passed, and now we move down to the March 9th public hearing meeting. And that meeting did not have an agenda because it was a public hearing meeting, and we did not have an agenda for that meeting. And at the end of the meeting, before we closed, it was requested that we vote on the amended bylaw for conditional use of the natural burial grounds. And we did so, we voted on that during the meeting. Later on, we were informed that actually because it was a public hearing and the purpose of the public hearing was purely to discuss the issues, but not to vote. And if we wanted to vote, we could have voted after that meeting ended that night, or we can vote now with it as a part of the agenda. So we're going to do a vote on that now. And so anybody, Mike, you made the motion last week.
Yeah.
Can you repeat it? Do you remember?
I got it somewhere.
I made a motion to approve the amendment.
I'll second it.
Okay, and the amendment was to add to the bylaws that natural burial grounds under conditional use would be acceptable in that. So, any other, you
A
seconded it.
resource area.
In the
Yes.
resource district, yes, thank you, Mike. So is there any discussion on that? Okay, we can take a vote. All those in favor of passing that added to the amendment, please say aye. Any opposed? No. So the ayes have it, and that amended bylaw now is accepted. So thank you very much for that.
You also have to approve the minutes of
Excuse
that.
me?
You have to approve
Yes,
the minutes of
and now
that.
we can go on and approve the minutes of the public hearing. Is anybody,
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
No second it.
okay? Right. Any discussion on those minutes? No. So all those in favor of accepting the March 9th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those minutes pass. Thank you very much. The next item is road business, and we have road foreman and road commissioners report. So Jay Wilson, would you begin, please?
We updated more signs on the Depot Road, Dover Road corridor. I think we're waiting for 6 more signs, and then that road will be completely done. And then of course, once the warm weather comes, we'll do the painting for the stop bars and the speed limit painting. The sand salt shed project has received the V-Trans comments for the engineer, and now is on to the environmental review process. The Depot Road Box Culvert project is on to the Army Corps of Engineers and the state wetlands permits, which the engineers are working on. We have posted Parish Hill, Baker Brook Road, and South Wedge Road areas for mud season. We received the building inspection report from VLCT for the garage. He didn't find anything too exciting, and everything is either that he suggested is either done or in the process of being done. And Pete's Tire Barn was the low price on the greater tires when we figured out the installation. They were about $120 a tire cheaper. And that's it.
And that's it. Okay, then we we have to have a motion first.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, any second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on Jay's report on the road conditions and road?
Only thing I'm gonna say is, we've got some dirt roads that aren't the greatest, but they're all passable. They're in pretty good shape. These guys have been working 7 days a week on these 2 roads the last couple of weeks. And I appreciate it. You've done a good job. You've got a few complainers, but you always have them, so.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so, let's vote on accepting the road foreman's report. Please say aye if you agree.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, the ayes appear to have it, so we accept the road foreman's report. And thanks, Chris, for adding.
Did you put the tires on the grader yet?
It's gonna order them.
Did you have a question?
Just asked it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Jay, for your report, and thanks, Chris, for your comments. So we're up to administrative assistance report. Juanetta, please.
I've been working on revising the appropriation letters, thanking people for volunteering. These should be finished and sent out by the end of the week. I've completed 16 overweight application permits and mailed them out to the respective businesses. On last Wednesday, there was a V-Trans audit here with Megan Brunk, Mark Pickering, Tyler Birchmore, Christopher J., and myself. As a result of the audit, there's a form that requires the select board signature, stating that we certify that our standards meet or exceed the requirements from the state, that we have a current inventory of highway-related conditions and estimates cost of repair for standards on bridges and roads. I will then email it to Megan at V-Trans tomorrow. At this point in time, all activities that were previously scheduled for Williamsville Hall have been temporarily postponed. Do you have any concerns at this time as to following the other towns in limiting access or suspending meetings by keeping the office staff to help by phone or emails?
Okay, can we move that into when Jay talks about the
Okay.
emergency?
And that's the end.
Okay, thank you, Juanetta.
Make a motion to accept their report.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Second. Is there any discussion on anything that Juanetta said? Juanetta, you said that we have to sign this,
Yes,
and so this is the budget.
we had previously adopted it last year, that's the result of the audit that they gave us.
Okay. So we have 2 places to, okay, Chris, do you want to start? Any other discussion? So can we vote on accepting Juanetta's report, please?
We just did that, didn't we?
Yeah.
I thought we
We-
just accepted the report
I
Mi-
thought we were
Mike
under
made a
discussion.
motion and Angela seconded it, but
for the, for one editor's report.
Yeah, and then, oh, this is a discussion. So
Oh,
we didn't vote on it yet, right? We have
to
the
make a motion to sign the annual financial plan for the town highway?
Yeah,
No, a separate
No.
report too.
just the.
Aye.
Uh,
There we go.
So we'll just, there's another.
Okay. So we have this Winetta, and
thank you.
we move on
Mhm.
to scheduled members of the public. And Jay Wilson is here. He's emergency management coordinator, and you're also on the committee, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Carol Hasselbeck, town clerk, is here, and she will probably be adding or suggesting some things. And also, Winetta will be discussing your questions. Okay, Jay?
So the town's emergency plan doesn't address this kind of, it's more suited for when we have to shelter people or infrastructure's damaged, so this is a whole new thing. So there's been, oh God, I can't tell you how many hundred of emails have been floating around about it, but the only suggestions they had for the town at this point was to potentially close the office to the public and to consider whether or not you wanna still hold your meetings in public and, or do them electronically by phone or whatever. Other than that, we did make sure that if for some reason, the office has to completely shut down, Melissa is able to still do her work from home. And I guess we determined the rest of them could, you know, either come in as needed or whatever to do theirs, so. We're gonna meet tomorrow night at 7, just to get together for a few minutes. But there's really, a lot of it's being done by the Vermont Department of Health, and that's where people should be getting their information, is from their website. There's a lot of internet information out there, but it's best if you go to the Vermont Department of Health and get your information from them. Other than that, I just didn't know what your thoughts were on whether closing the office would be appropriate or.
Okay. Anybody have a comment, question? Carol? Mike?
Would you close it just so they can't come into here, or is still everybody still working in your office in here, right? I guess if that's what you wanna do, maybe if the people come to the thing, just check with them, make sure they don't. I don't know, I just don't know what to believe about this whole thing right now anyways. I mean, I know it's serious, that's for sure, but Jesus Christ, everybody can't stay home.
To be available by phone and then put a sign on the door that you're closed to people coming in.
And if attorneys absolutely have to come in to do a title search, they have to make an appointment with me and only have one of them here at a time.
Yeah.
And then clean up after,
That makes
sanitize everything after they're finished. But,
Well,
cause
do
that
people-
protects them as well as us.
Right.
Do people generally call you before they come, or they just come on their own?
Most of the time, people just come. However, today I was getting phone calls. Are you
Oh.
there? Can I come in and do my dog
Oh, I see.
license? And the Vermont Bar Association and some realtors associations and stuff were asking people online, are your offices open? Should they call? What should they do? Now, our land records are online. They can go back to the early 1980s online through Record Hub
Mhm.
and do most of their title work in their offices. And that's what I'll tell them, but if they
Mhm.
need to go back further than that, then they'll have to
Make
make
an
appointments.
Yeah.
And then if it turns out at any time that you're totally closed, everybody would have to put that on their voicemail.
Yeah.
Whenever, as somebody who works here, how are you feeling about keeping the offices open to work in?
That's fine. I'm good.
You're good?
We're good with it.
I mean, as far as a dog license or something like that, if you had to, if they'd give them an extra 30 days or whatever, if you don't want them all just flocking in there, you know.
They can mail me a check and I'll mail them the license. They can call and find out if the dog is up to date on the rabies, and if they are, all they have to do is send me the check and where they want me to send the license, and I'll do that. Otherwise, and I definitely don't think we should be charging a late fee if they don't make it by April 1st. A lot of the towns are extending the date till May 31st. Instead of April 1st, I say we just go with the flow and see what happens. But definitely not start charging the late fee on
Mhm.
April 1st, because there are people who are not gonna wanna come in and not gonna want me to mail them things, so.
And truthfully, I'm one of those people who gets a dog license, and I'm glad you reminded me, because, you know, we're so inundated with all the rules and regulations we're supposed to follow now. It sort of, it has slipped my mind, and I'm sure, you know, other people would forget too. And not want to be late, but you just don't think about it because there's so much else to think about.
And we will, have Bauman put a notice on the website that
Okay,
the
that's good.
office is closed to people coming in. Call us and we'll talk you through what you have to do. And,
I also think that it's important for employees that are working here, if they're experiencing any symptoms, and if anybody in their family are experiencing symptoms, they stay home,
Mhm.
so that it doesn't pass.
Yeah.
What about, is there any plans if you need to clean the office? You know, if somebody did come in that was ill, do you have any plans? Anybody in mind that would come and do that?
For us, they just started a cleaning service. Industrial cleaning service, let me tell you what.
Well, how are things going here in the office? Are you telling people that you need to have social distance? Are you wiping surfaces?
but I think we're doing all of that, sure. People come in.
So that's good to know.
That kinda gets me with this whole thing, I mean, yeah, it's bad, but everybody's worried about catching it. But they're all flocking into the stores by the grove, fighting over a roll of toilet paper and a can of water, you know, I mean, thousands of them in there. They wipe right off the shelves as quick as it hits. But they're all worried about catching this disease, you know, well, this is throughout the whole country. Walmart and every one of them flocking in, it looks like Christmas time going on around there.
Well, it's important to remember that anybody can become a carrier and not even realize it. And that's, you're right, people are concerned about themselves, but we have to also be concerned that we might unknowingly be a carrier, so we don't want to be close to people who could catch something that we have, even if we don't know it
First
yet.
thing is young children can carry it and they don't even really get it, but they can carry it on to somebody else.
Right, exactly. Is there any more discussion about this? Jay, when you meet with the committee tomorrow, would you let us know the results?
I'll be attending the meeting too.
Oh, you will?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
We did cancel bingo's just because felt that was probably a gathering that didn't need to happen,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, all the cancellation, what's it for, just 2 weeks or something, is that what this is, I don't know.
Schools through April 6th at least. Yeah, I think they're kind of, I mean, it changes daily, but at least it's a couple weeks.
I think right now it's to the beginning of April and then they'll decide what's happening at that point.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Well, that's what they're saying, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
There is something here. I have something I can read now. This is called 15 Days to Slow the Spread, and it's the President's Coronavirus Guidelines for America. Listen to and follow the directions of your state and local authorities. If you feel sick, stay home. Do not go to work. Contact your medical provider. If your children are sick, keep them at home. Do not send them to school. Contact your medical provider. If someone in your household has tested positive for the coronavirus, keep the entire household at home. Do not go to work. Do not go to school. Contact your medical provider. If you are an older person, stay home and away from other people. If you are a person with a serious underlying health condition that can put you at increased risk, example, a condition that impairs your lung or heart function or weakens your immune system, stay at home and away from people. So those are the guidelines. Anything else that we need to add? So I think in summary, what we're saying right now is, right now, the town hall and the employees in town hall can come to work. Anybody who wants to come in for an appointment with Carol, if you're listening to this, please call her first and make sure you're in good health. And anything else that?
Oh, with all the offices, taxes, zoning.
Yeah,
All the offices within the town office.
exactly.
Call, make an appointment to come into the office, and then
Exactly.
they can screen them the way they wanna screen them out, and
Right. We have Melissa, who's the treasurer, we have Winetta as the assistant, administrative assistant report, and also Merle, zoning administrator. So the best
And the
thing is to
listers.
call first, and the listers, of course.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yes, sure.
That someone should be posting something on the door of the building.
Yes, that's a good idea, Shelley. It was mentioned already, but thank you
Okay.
for repeating it. That's, okay. Anything else? Okay, so I think that's it for now, Jay. Basically, things change from day to day, as we all know, and we'll just have to be careful, listen to the Department of Health reports that you can get online or on TV or the radios. So, that's it for the scheduled members of the public. Thanks, Carol, for being here, and Jay. Okay, we do not have any, oh, are you, we do not have any unscheduled members of the public. We do have a visitor here. Okay, old business. Town Office Building Committee. Do you want to discuss that? I think there's only 2 out of the 3 of you here, or do you want to postpone that?
We can reschedule it, cause I did give the plans to David Cotton today. He's gonna do a proposal. I told him what the budget was. He does have to file certain standards with the state for access for handicap development and different things. So if we could reschedule that for another another meeting,
And can we
Okay.
invite him to come to that meeting?
maybe by phone.
Perhaps.
What did you ask?
To have him come to the rescheduled meeting
Oh, that's a good
to
idea.
discuss.
Yeah, good.
And
Excuse me, so is there something that has been decided on the building committee?
Nothing that's been permanent other than the plans that you were already given back 2 months ago on the proposed,
so this is essentially the proposal.
yeah, but
Okay.
there's certain guidelines the state requires being a commercial
Is
building.
but is there a proposal that we need to vote on? I just saw a sketch or something. I
No,
never-
David's gonna be working on the proposal.
Okay. Have we
Okay.
committed money to that?
We have in our building fund for the town office, a certain budget that's already been allocated for it. We're
Was
not,
that voted on then?
it's been put aside year after year after year.
What we was
Right.
actually trying to do is just trying to come up with a rough estimate of what we think it might cost, and then we're gonna put it all out to bid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's just a three-sided wall with a foundation and the
Right.
roof and everything, and, what we was actually looking at too, we weren't sure if we wanted to put a room up over it, like this one's got, or just have the stairways going up into this with a cathedral ceiling, which we could almost lower the roof a little bit at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I know we've been talking about it, but I didn't ever get understand there was a formal vote or anything on it.
no, we haven't, we just,
We're not there yet.
we got that, like the
Okay.
committee thing, we're just trying to come up with a rough idea what we might cost to just throw something like that up, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, there's no vote.
And then we'll put it up to vote and see if we've got money enough to do it, or if we gotta borrow money to do it, or whatever.
Right.
I think we've got probably close to money enough to do it, but
So have we agreed to expend a certain amount of money on the preliminary proposal?
I don't think anything's been agreed on or voted on right now. This is just the beginning process in the new.
Yeah, but is there any cost associated with the proposal, I guess, is my question.
haven't had one so far, no. Not yet, not yet.
So we haven't agreed on any of
No.
the preliminary drafting cost?
No,
Okay.
no,
Any other discussion? No. The next one is the volunteer committees. That, whenever, do you have the list there? The vacancies for the different committees that the town has, the openings for positions or committees.
Animal control is available.
Okay.
Planning commission? 2.
Wyndham Regional is another one.
Is that, because I signed up for one of those positions, is still a vacancy?
There's still
Yeah.
one, cause there's 2 positions available, and you
Okay.
took one and Pete resigned.
Right.
planning commission.
Yep.
Has 2 spots available.
Town Energy Coordinator. The Senior Solutions, Doris has resigned from that one, but she will stay on as the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District. So that Senior Solutions has a vacancy. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 at this point. That are vacant. Yes, 5.
If anybody watching television would like to have something to do to support the town of Newfane, we do have the vacancies that Lynetta just named, And please feel free to come in. Just call first at this point to see that the office is open. Or you can call Winetta at 365-7772, extension 4. And you can ask her about the positions that are available and let her know if you're interested. Okay, and that can be put on line again, right?
Yes.
In Town of Newfane. Thank you, Winetta. And also, thank you for writing those acknowledgement letters. That's really important. Do you want to say that again?
I'm revisiting and revising the appropriation letters to thank people for volunteering, rather than just, will you resign? I'm thanking them, and
That's very nice. I think it's very important to acknowledge.
yes,
So thank you for that. Okay, so the personnel policy, you said that we need to
I forgot to do that today. I'm sorry.
adopt it and sign it. Do you want to do that today or not?
I forgot to do it today.
Okay, well,
So do it at our next meeting?
we could do it the next meeting.
Thank you.
Just one other thing, not, nothing to do with this, but I just wondering, is
Sure.
school board still having their meetings for the budgets and stuff?
We were just talking about that, whether they'll postpone the meeting or.
Cause it's supposed to have like a public meeting up front and then the votes of next day or something, is it, or 2 days later?
As far as I've seen, they're still on and haven't been rescheduled.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Regarding the appropriations, I know Renetta was talking about appropriations letters, but it reminded me that there was a vote on the floor at the town meeting of special appropriations, and there was an increase, and I'm just wondering if that got resolved as to which organization was receiving money.
Winetta? Is that something that Melissa is more aware of?
It is something that Melissa's more aware of. I know there's going to be a deficit of about $2,000 because the figures that they came up with amongst themselves at town meeting didn't match the appropriations. And there's a question as to whether they were including the appropriations that didn't request funding.
Mm-hmm.
Are we appropriating for that?
I believe there was only one that was excluded that didn't get any.
All the
Send a
ones
letter.
with zeros shouldn't get nothing, right?
Well, the only one that was mentioned that I recall was Newfane and New, because they didn't send in a letter, and Lynn Forrest had stood up and said that it should be this without them, because I do recall that,
Right.
but I don't recall any of the others.
I would make a suggestion that when Melissa comes back, Winetta,
Mm-hmm.
maybe she can attend a select board meeting and we can work on it then. Is that okay with everybody on select board?
Yeah, that sounds good. I just don't want it to go, we forget about it or whatever.
Because I see 5 in here that did not have a request.
That's what Winetta said,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so that will be addressed when Melissa is available to be at our meeting. Okay. New business, water quality at town office. And that's something that I'm bringing up, if it all can be fixed. Because particularly at this time, where all one hears about is how many times a day one has to wash their hands and make sure everything's clean and use water for washing and unfortunately, the water in this building in Town Hall is not the greatest right now. It is, I don't know how you would say it, it's filled with sulfur, it has a lot of sulfur in it, and it's odorous, and it's very unpleasant. And
Has it been tested?
Last fall we had treatment done, but I don't know that it was actually sent out to the state for testing. I know there was work done in the well itself.
So, first of all, we have employees and people who work here every day. Then we have the public who comes in here to see people, and in case they request washing their hands or using the restrooms, it is very unpleasant. And so my thought and hope is that maybe we could have a plumber come, if that's the way to start. And apparently we have a town plumber, is that correct? That we could call and have him just come in and check it and see what he suggests. So I would like to know if people are willing to do that.
Well, I have a question. Who had done the treatment and what treatment was done on the water?
I can't think of his name. Melissa recommended him because she used him before, and they did some chemical in the water itself.
Okay, can we get a report on that?
I don't know if she has a report, but we can get a.
We could probably check the invoice and see what was done, but
Right,
Yeah, might as well check with that first and see what they did do to it and what it does need.
Even if you have to call the plumber and ask him to write out what he did. So in layman's terms, so we understand.
mm-hmm.
I mean, you could probably, first thing you do, if nothing else, just go get one of them things, a test kit, and you fill the bottles, let me take it to that place in Keene, they test the water for you.
in Keene.
You can test it for minerals and for,
They'll tell you what's wrong with the water, if it needs and what it does need. And at that point, then you put it out to whatever it needs, and if it's gotta go out to bid to hire somebody to do it, or if it's just something simple or what, maybe you gotta put a whole filter on it.
Yeah, I have no
Filter
idea.
system with the salt and all that
Right.
stuff to clean the water.
Well, I know that's something that people do. I don't know if that's the only choice we have. I don't, so I really think, so if you want to, what?
There is concerns, for water in this area. I mean, it does have issues,
Right.
so it's not abnormal. I don't know if it's something that's happened over several years, it's changed, or if it's always been that way.
I don't know what it is, but my feeling is that people work here for many hours each day, and I think that it would be great if we could have clean, acceptable water for them.
Well, if the water's tested and if the water's good, unfortunately, there's a smell to it, and, we can look at, as a select board, we can look at what we can do for it, but there is water that we pay for drinking, and, any kind of, preparation for food or for lunch or whatever. But, I'm just wanted to get the facts of what's going on currently, what's been done, and what, could possibly be done. And then we can vote on it, as to what we want done.
So we should start with the report from the fall and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have to make a motion about this? No.
No,
I don't
because we
think
just need the report from the
Right.
fall, and then we make a motion when we want somebody else to come in
Okay,
and look at
good.
it.
Okay, any other comments or discussion about this? Okay, thank you. We are up to correspondence.
The highlighted part down at the bottom is, at the bottom of the page, the highlighted,
Yeah, oh,
that's,
this is the
yeah.
one.
And then there's two
You
paper
know, I'm in a
clips.
meeting, I can't talk on the phone every minute.
Hope that ain't his girlfriend, or not.
Aye.
It wasn't me.
Renetta,
Yes.
this is all I just need
All right, I
the,
gotta go. Well,
I just need the original letter, not all the comments made after.
No, it's all this right here.
But she's the most
This
important.
is.
No, Steve, that's not, that's not. the
Hope you weren't
letter.
expecting dinner tonight, Chris. When you get home. I just went out the
This is
window.
Kirsten.
Good thing Rick's is on the
Yeah, but
way.
she's responding, this is, what's the serious.
I got some dinner
Yeah,
out in the garage
this is
anyway.
Kirsten writing to,
Deborah,
but
but
I
that's not the one for select board.
this is the one that she forwarded to us from her. And then this one was Lisa Harris.
Yeah, I hope that old virus don't get too bad, 'cause I can imagine being quarantined in my house for
That's
2
the one
weeks.
for-
All bundled up there.
That's the one for executive.
I know.
Okay.
But not the. Oh, yeah.
So I just
Yeah, I'm still on the
highlighted
porch
this
and watch guys go by.
from Lisa Harris. And
But
then
after you
what
get
she's
locked
saying
up
about
2
the
weeks,
ramps
is
and
the old
stuff.
ladies,
Okay.
you're
Well,
running
you
for
know
one
what?
of them cars that have
This is not the letter we got. And so, I don't know why it's written together, I don't know.
she forwarded to me from the email. We never got a letter. This was just forwarded.
Okay, well then this is really correspondence.
Okay.
Okay.
And
What's
then
this?
that's the thing from Brattleboro.
Okay. This is a letter to the select board from an organization called Compassionate Brattleboro. And it's written by Jim Levinson for Compassionate Brattleboro. Does anybody?
Is that the one from Lisa Harris?
No,
No,
No.
I said from Jim Levinson.
Yeah.
I think we've discussed this in the past. This is about being compassionate, stating that Newfane, do we want to be part of this Compassionate Brattleboro?
I'm compassionate.
That Newfane, as a town, would join in with Compassionate Brattleboro. As you know, the town of Brattleboro voted overwhelmingly in 2017 to join the International Charter for Compassion. 125 cities and towns around the world, a movement initiated by Karen Armstrong and the Dalai Lama. And it continues with, while much that we do uses Brattleboro area, there may be considerable value in having towns in the area sign on officially to the charter. This will permit many joint endeavors and also provide these towns with a recognized means of addressing local compassionate issues. Might you be interested in considering this? I know this came up in the past.
I'm not really sure what they're asking, and
Oh, Dalai Lama?
I'm not really into the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to join that or not. Probably not.
I
don't
think what
so.
we'll do is have this
If the worst comes to
available.
worst, they're compassionate, they'll let us in on the. Jesus.
I think what we'll do is leave this for the select board to look at it privately, because it's something that was asked a while ago, and we didn't join in at that time. Perhaps we might want to join in, but I think people should read it on their own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, there is a letter from Lisa Harris that was sent to Deborah Luskin about town meeting day, and that there was a problem. She said, Lisa Harris responded to Deborah, because Deborah reached out to her and said that she heard there was a problem, that there was snow, and the ramp was not cleared. And so Lisa responded to Deb and say, I wasn't actually able to attend town meeting as I was sick. But then I voted later in the day. I noticed that the accessibility ramp for the hall had some snow in front of the entrance. It might have been tough for a wheelchair to make it through it, as well as some of the less mobile on foot. So the concern was
The snow in front of the ramp.
that there was snow
I
and
think they
ice.
kinda handled it a little bit that day there. 'Cause
Yeah,
There was one or two people with wheelchairs, and I think I see Jay and a couple of them out there one time helped them through the snow.
yeah,
I mean, it was clear off to one side, there was a little bit still
yes.
on the ice, but
So
it seemed to
there,
me that everybody seemed to get through everything all right that
Yeah.
day, all right, but.
I mean, what I noticed in going up the ramp and up the steps was there was a lot of salt on the steps and on the ramps to make it easy to go up. And that doesn't mean, as Mike said, that there wasn't any snow or ice, but it was taken care of in the best way that could have been done that morning.
Well, they assisted the people with
Yeah.
the wheelchairs, so.
Yes,
No, it definitely should have been cleared off the
I
rest of
know,
the
I
way,
know
but
people
the
actually
ice was
were,
bad.
assisting wheelchair people.
Yes,
and
they
they
were.
didn't have any complaints.
Right,
yeah. Well, the only thing that we can say is we will try our best again next year, and whenever that building is used, I know that people who take care of the building are very committed to make it as safe as possible, so I'm very sorry that that happened to some people, that they didn't feel safe, and we will do our best again next year. Any comments about it? Other things to say? Okay, I think that's it. We have one other item on the agenda. I'm gonna put the correspondence away, and that is, we are going to go into executive session.
So there's another one, Kristen Turner.
Yeah, I mentioned that name.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Kristen Turner, and that there were two people who wrote about the conditions.
Oh,
Lisa Harris. I just had the one for Kristen Turner.
Kirsten.
Hmm?
It's Kirsten Turner.
Kirsten Turner, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened to it now.
so
Here, wait, I have it.
Okay.
Kirsten Turner. Hello, Deborah. This was the scene last evening. Access to the handicap ramp was covered with ice, so my wife had to pull herself up the stairs to vote. Anyone in a wheelchair would probably have needed help to get through the snow and ice to the ramp. We recall that this happened the last time we voted at Union Hall. While we did not attend town meeting and likely will not in the future, if the ramp and the path to it were clear of snow and ice, then people who use canes, walkers, and wheelchairs would feel more welcome. Thank you for all your fine work. Kristen Turner, South Newfane. Sorry, I mentioned the name, but I omitted reading the letter. Any comments about that? Okay, again, we will try our very best to make everything safe. So the next item on the agenda is executive session. And thank you, Jay, for being here.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
I make a motion to go into executive session.
Okay, I need to read,
Oh, I have to read the,
yeah.
Gotta hang the phone up.
Okay, the reasons for executive session is, basically,